Thank you all for showing up. We got a big crowd. I'm going to try to get everyone in. Welcome, welcome. We've got Mr. Dave Abdallah who's joined us. We're here for 30 minutes, so we appreciate everyone's time. I know a lot of you, are either in coaching or know of Mike Ferry coaching. So I just wanted to, maybe you've heard of Dave Abdallah before. I don't know. Some of you who have, some of you are in his office and in his neck of the woods, and others aren't. So we're going to start right away because people will join us. I wanted to just introduce someone I call a mentor and a good friend that I've known for almost 2 decades now, Mr. Dave Abdallah. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Renee, how are you?
Good, thank you. So, just for those of us who
Excellent.
don't, I'll mute the people that are, I'll just ask to mute yourself if there's noise in the background. We're going to just talk to Mr. Dave Abdallah. For those of you who don't know him, he is what we would call, quote unquote, superstar agent who's now become a broker owner and team leader. So Dave, maybe just give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Sure, no problem. Um, I've been in the real estate business since 1989. Quick story, got into it completely by accident. Was in the corporate world, wasn't enjoying it, wanted to get into a different type of a job. And my parents had their house for sale. I decided to try this out for a little while to see how it works out while I'm looking for a corporate job. And here I am 35 years later. That's the summary as far as that's concerned. Been with the same company from day one with Century 21, and I've been a Mike Ferry agent hardcore for probably I was in the coaching program, I think, for about 20 years. And still follow, I would say, probably a good 70, 80%, 90% of the Mike Ferry system, which is, I would tell you, 90% of my success is due to different things that I learned in the Mike Ferry system, without a doubt. And another 100% over the 90%, if there's 190%, is God's will and God's help, and then maybe another 2-3% is my drive and discipline in the business.
Fantastic. And Dave was just sharing with me before we started. That's how I met Dave, was in the Mike Ferry system. And he said, 1 year he made 462 transactions. That right, Dave? That
Yeah.
was in 1 year. And he said 90% of it, say 410, were based on what he learned with Mike Ferry.
No doubt.
So I thought, guys and gals, this is huge. What a great opportunity we have today to kind of learn from Dave. How the heck did he do that, especially in the early days coming up, Dave? So tell us a little bit about when you were coming up in this business. What were some things that separated you, that allowed you to get some success in those early 5 to 10 years of your career?
Wait, I'm sorry. One quick second. Amber,
Yeah.
Can you guys shut the door, please? Okay. So initially, when I started in the business, I was putting in absolutely crazy hours from 7 a.m. until about 10:30 p.m. I was working 7 days a week, and my quote unquote day off was Sunday because I'd get off at 5 o'clock. That was my day off, if you want to call it. And that was without the Mike Ferry system. That's prior to the Mike Ferry system. And I was working 24/7 by myself with an assistant, no life whatsoever. Didn't know my parents, didn't know my kids. And I'm serious when I say I didn't know my kids. I really didn't know my kids. Had no life. I was a mess. I was fat, heavy.
Heavy too.
I weigh
Wow.
160. I was 160. I weigh 165 right now. I weigh 221 pounds. I was a
Whoa.
mess. Yeah, I was a
Wow,
total
wow.
mess.
Okay.
And I thought life was all about working, making money. And then I ran into the Mike Ferry system through seeing a lot of top agents in the state being a part of the Mike Ferry system. And I started looking into it. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of him. And then I went to one seminar. I'll never forget the first seminar I went to in Chicago. And right there and then, I was so sold on that system. It wasn't even funny because it completely aligned with my mindset.
Yeah.
But it practically guaranteed income if you're willing to work. And then the rest was history. It was a great success. I'm right now, as far as sales, I'm at like almost 7,000 properties sold in my career, and just a little earlier in the year, we hit over $1 billion in sales.
That is huge and tremendous. Thank you, Dave. So did you all hear that? 7,000 sales and over $1 billion. And a lot of that foundation that, Dave can share with us, he learned with MFO. Now, Dave, I remember, at that time, it was amazing. We went to the event and Dave was there actually on stage many times, and he
Right.
would do the prospecting live. They would actually ask Dave to do the role play, and it was like in front of 2,000 people, was it, Dave? Like,
There's about over 5,000 people.
over 5,000 people. So tell us what that was like. You were one of the guys who was doing it quite often. How did
Right.
that, like, obviously practice was involved. Tell us about the role of practice and being able to get up and do something like that.
Well, I used to do multiple phases of practice. Number one, I used to do a lot of role play on a regular basis. Every morning at 7 a.m., I would do a
Okay.
role play with different people across the state.
Right.
I also read it. I did a lot of weird things. I'm sure you, as a Mike Ferry coach, are familiar with. Where the one where you practice the script real fast. You know,
Yes.
I'm sure
We
you
did
figured out
all
by now that
those.
your home came up on our computers and expired listing. I was calling to see when you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home. You know what I'm saying? And you
Yes.
start to internalize it a lot more. And then I would do it slow, very slow to internalize it a lot more. I'd role play with people in the office and on my team to get it to be more internalized. And then
Right.
when you internalize it, and I used to have the scripts directly in front of me. So when the script is directly in front of you, even when you screw up, because as Mike Ferry has always said, the clients don't have the script.
Right.
So when you say, I'm sure you figured out by now that your home came up on our computers an expired listing, and I was calling to see when do you plan on interviewing the right agent this time for the job of selling your home? And the guy says, well, I just came out of the hospital. My arm was hurting and I did 10 stitches. And then you're like, whoa, that's not a part of the script. But if you have it internalized, you're able to jump right back on,
Right.
pattern interrupt them, and then go right back to the script. Also, as I
Right.
mentioned, had it in front of me. Actually, kind of a funny story. When we would do role play with Mike Ferry, when he had me go up on stage, one
Yeah.
time I went up on stage, I did the expired listing, and it was videotaped and all. It was all good. Finished, came down. I'm all good. And then Mike Ferry comes up to me. There was another person on stage, and then there was a lady right after him. And he comes up to me and he says, Dave, I need a favor. I said, what's going on? He says, the
Mhm.
one lady that was supposed to go up next, and it was supposed to be cold calling,
Okay.
just listed, just sold.
Wow.
He says she freaked out, turned off her phone, and left the building because she's got stage fright and she can't do it. So I need you to go up next. The good news is because I had it practiced, I had internalized it. It was very easy for me. Went up there. At least I believe I
And
rocked
you
it.
nailed it. And you nailed
And
it.
yeah, but for somebody to tell you to go up on stage in front of 5,000 people, that will usually make
Yes.
you sweat. It didn't, because it was something I was doing on a daily basis, and it was
Right.
nothing. And to this day, I'll notice myself doing the script without even thinking about it. So when a customer gives
Mhm.
me any objection, the script comes out right away, instantly, because I've internalized it.
That's powerful. So did you all hear that? When we say, as a coach, we are always talking about practice and role play, but even what Dave's talking about is he took it to the next level, which is internalizing that script, right? Memorizing and internal. He had it to such a point that when Mike came and asked him, "Hey, someone just bailed. There's 5 minutes. Can you go on stage in front of 5,000 people?" He could say yes. Imagine if your skills were there today, like where you could take your business. That's huge. So, Dave, tell us, to get to 462 transactions in 1 year, that takes a lot of discipline. A lot
Well,
of discipline, what you're talking about. How do you get to be this disciplined? Were you born disciplined, or like where did it come from?
absolutely. So it's interesting that you brought up that, because a lot of times when I speak to agents about what the core foundations for success,
Yeah.
and I always say it's three of them: it's drive, it's discipline, and it's skill set.
Ah,
Discipline is, I believe, that's something that you're pretty much born with. All you can do is tweak it a little bit to take it to the next level. But I
right.
think you either are or are not disciplined. For example, right now it's Ramadan. Okay,
Yes.
I'm not eating, I'm not drinking, been up all night, on maybe 2, 3 hours of sleep, and here I am at the office, back at the office, like nothing is happening. That's what's called discipline, and the best way to create discipline is to eliminate your options. This was taught to me by Matthew Ferry. The
Right.
best way to guarantee success is eliminate your options. So for me, the option of not coming in is just not an option available to me. I
Mhm.
don't remember, and I sincerely don't remember the last day I did not show up to work or school or even middle school for that matter when I was supposed to be there. by
Right.
just me saying, today I'm not gonna do it because I've got to take these boxes out of my garage, and then the grass is 2 inches tall, and I got to do this, and I got to bring that. I'm going to drop off this at Target, and I'm returning
Yeah.
this package. It just doesn't exist in my book. So
Right.
to me, I eliminate my options. Skipping is not an option. That's the
Okay.
discipline. The other thing is drive.
Yes.
I've been driven all my life. I'm a type A personality, so I'm the type. If we're gonna walk to Walgreens across the street, I'm the type that will run there, and he'll be like, "Dude, chill out, man. We're just going to grab a pop." But it's just my weird mentality. I'm very driven to
Driven.
be the best version of myself. And then the
Right.
last one, that's where Mike Ferry came in quite a bit, is
Right.
skill set. I'm the first to tell you that I had no skill set or very little skill set to be
Uh-huh.
good in sales. I was always all my life in college and in high school. I was always the nerd of the college or the high school, whatever it is. I was never the
Right.
superstar quarterback or athlete. I was always the guy that read the most books or was vying for his A plus and A, et cetera, et cetera. So I was always the
Yeah.
nerd. So I was 80 million miles away from being a salesperson.
Wow.
And when I started, I was not a good salesperson. I was okay with rejection. Rejection has
Hmm.
never bothered me. That's something that's a
Why
blessing.
why has rejection not bothered you, Dave? Like some people shut down completely. They hear a
Yeah.
couple of
So
no's, get lost, buddy. What are you talking about?
so there's a funny story that my friends talk about that way back when during the bar days when we would go out and trying to find girls to dance with at the bar.
Yeah.
They say I learned rejection by being rejected by 80 women only to get one to say yes. That's a joke they've got. I don't know if it was 80 women, but I think it
Yeah.
probably was a good over 30 or 40
That's a good
because
one for
look at this. I don't look like Brad Pitt. So hey, it is what it is. So that's a
lots of
part of it. But on a serious
yeah.
note, it's a part of the business. So if you're not okay with rejection,
Yeah.
if rejection bothers you, if it's something that you're not comfortable with, then you're in the wrong business because it's just a part of the business. When you got to make
Hmm.
so many calls to get that no. Like for
Hmm.
example, when I call expireds and a person is a total ass on the phone, very difficult to deal with, uh, yelling, swearing, call it whatever you want to call it. Those are my favorite expired calls because what I instantly do and think, wow, this is a rock star lead. Because my mindset is everybody else is not going to call it any longer, primarily
Right.
because they went off on you or whatever it is. Okay.
Right.
So I keep it as a great lead and I'll call it again and again and again, knowing that 9 out of 10 realtors have crossed it off that as somebody that they don't want to call. What's the worst thing that can happen? So they say F you. So they say you're
True.
a crackhead, you're a
Right.
shithead, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But yet you earn $9,000. Guess what? Call me crackhead all you want for me to earn $9,000 on a deal. So I don't let it bother me because when you compare it to other fields in other industries, the amount of pay that we get per transaction is disgusting. Take a look
True.
at any listing you've sold and closed, even if you take
Hmm.
an average, let's say $300,000 property, even if you don't double dip it, even if you just sell one side of it, the commission on that side is $9,000. If you look at it, you talked to them before you went there, you went and listed the property another hour, hour and a half. Maybe you dealt with it for 2, 3, 4 hours on different offers you've had, and maybe you had one or two showings. Combined, maybe you put an 8, and I'm even going to be liberal, say 15 hours on that property. You take
Right.
$9,000 divided by 15, that tells you how much you were paid per hour. And
Right.
you're afraid of rejection? It makes
Ouch.
zero sense to me.
When you put it like that, Dave, it really, hits home. I see a lot of people, I hope the light bulbs are going off. The amount of money you can get paid in this business, what Dave is saying versus the rejection, it's almost a joke. It's almost a joke. So you were
Especially when you
saying,
divide the number of hours put in by the amount of the commission. And
yes,
then you take a look at your mom, your dad, your aunt, your brother, your sister, your friend, your neighbor, and what they work for per hour, what type of business that they are in, and the amount of BS that they put up with compared to what somebody telling us, no, I'm not interested in selling. So you're gonna go on the corner and cry and get a psychologist? That makes no sense to me.
David, this is great. So, Dave, tell us, you have a little talk because you run a brokerage with Century 21. I can see all the
I'm not a broker. I'm just a salesperson.
salesperson,
Yeah.
salesperson. But you advice for somebody who might be struggling, maybe they hit a stale point in their sales. or maybe they're struggling to get going. It's around end of March of the year. Maybe they're off to a slow start. What advice would you say to somebody to just kickstart their sales when maybe, they're just either hit a slump or they're sluggish?
So I think the biggest challenge in the real estate industry that a lot of real estate agents and realtors don't recognize, they don't find their why. See, one of the biggest challenges that a lot of realtors have, I've even had it, is looking for that why. Like, why is it that I'm working? If you're just working to work, that's not enough. You got to find the end game when you make that commission or that amount of money or that income. What is your ultimate goal? What are you doing this for? Are you doing it to get material things for yourself? Are you doing it to send your kids through college? Are you doing it to help out your parents? Are you doing it to help the poor? You got to find that why. And once you find that why, that's what will give you that drive. If you
Right.
don't know that why, you'll never be driven. Because when you say you're driven to what? You're driven to an end game that you're trying to get. And if you don't know what it is, you'll never have that drive for it. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, for example, even from 35 years ago, I used to write my goals in the shower with nail polish. And the reason I'd write them with nail polish, because they don't go right off when you wipe it down. Okay. And I would
Wow.
write just one word each, as far as different goals I had, as far as the number of units that I want to achieve, as far as the amount of money that I want to make in a year, as far as, if you know anything about me, you'd know I'm all about helping others instead of helping myself. It's always been a challenge of mine. I get gratification of helping out others. So I used to put the car that I want to buy for my wife, the vacation I want to take my family on, the things that I want to buy for my kids, and it would just be one word segments. And that's what I would see every morning in the shower and every night in the shower to create that drive for me. That's what I think makes you go to the next level, in my opinion.
That's huge. That's huge, Dave. And one of the things when I was sitting with Dave, I got the pleasure of sitting with David at Mike Ferry event years ago. Like I said, this is a decade and a half ago. And I said, Dave, what is it that gets you doing what you do? And I don't even think Dave remembers what he had told me at that time. He says, Renee, I love to shop. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
I
remember.
still do. I
You
still do.
still do,
Hey, well, that's
okay.
good memory.
And I said, but Dave, everybody loves to shop. He says, no, no, I love to shop. Me and my wife love to shop without looking at the price tags.
So my a little, maybe admitting too much, but my last 2 days off were spent at two different local malls. That tells you, yeah, I'm into it.
He's
I don't
still
always,
into this.
I don't always buy anything. I don't know why. I enjoy the process. Grabbing a nice cup of coffee, walking
Yeah.
around. It's just something that I've always enjoyed.
Look
And
at
now I
that.
do it online. Now I do it
Now he
online.
does it online. Oh, wow. That could be dangerous. So there we got drive, discipline, and skill set. How
Well,
about
skill
you?
set, little side note, skill set is the
Yes.
one thing that you don't have naturally. That's the one thing that all of us have to build. So when I
Right.
started in the business, I had zero. When I say zero, I'm talking about zero skill set in
Right.
terms of sales. Because like I mentioned you, I was more the nerd in school, not
Right.
necessarily the one that was a natural salesperson.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, if anybody, it was my younger brother Sam that was probably more the natural people person or salesperson, if you want to call it. I was definitely not the salesperson, and the Mike Ferry organization is what took it to the next level for me, to where like sometimes even people on my team sometimes question me, like I'll have a big listing appointment and they don't see me nervous, they don't see me sweating. I don't even think about it because to me the way I look at it, when I walk in, I'm taking that listing. In my last probably 200 listing appointments, I've probably taken 199. I just finally lost one after maybe 2 years or whatever is going on listing appointment. I just finally lost one about a week or so ago. And it was
Wow.
only because, and I called them after the fact to find out
Yeah.
why they didn't list with me. And she said, which made no sense, but she said, well, the other two realtors presented us with a seller's net sheet and you didn't. Well, I had it in my briefcase, but they wouldn't go forward. But it is what it is. But I've only lost one out of maybe 200 listing appointments. That's because when I go in, I have the confidence that this listing is mine unless I decide I don't want it. This
Right.
listing is mine. It's
Wow.
done. When they meet with me, they're done. They're history. They have no shot at outgunning me. It's not going to happen. So I take that type of a mental attitude, and obviously I come prepared with my
Yeah.
data, with my
Hmm.
comparables, with of course my scripts that I'm able to take, and with my objection handlers. There's no
Right.
objection that you could give me that's going to make me go, ugh, just block. It doesn't
S-
happen. Not because
s-
I'm smarter than the next guy, but because I've practiced it more than the next guy.
Yeah. Wow. That was a lot. Did you all hear that? One out of 200 listings he didn't get. That means 199 he got. But look at the mentality that Dave has, right? If everyone walked into that level of preparation, the fact that he actually wants it so bad. So Dave, when you're there to talk
Mhm.
about, that whole Mike Ferry sales process, the listing presentation, there's a 5-step listing process.
Correct.
So you actually send information ahead of
Ahead of
time,
time, absolutely.
pre-qualify.
I call it the looking forward to. It's what we've always called it. The name
What
doesn't
do
make
you
sense,
call
but
it? What do you call it?
looking forward to, and the letter starts with looking forward to. I'm looking forward to marketing your home. So
Ah,
that's what we
looking
send out. We
forward to.
email it ahead of time to
Yeah,
pre-sell the client on
right,
myself and my services.
right.
And then I absolutely positively, not even negotiable, even if my mom and dad want to sell their home, I will pre-qualify them. That's not even negotiable. The papers are right by me. Matter of fact,
Wow.
right away, right next to me, to my
Is
right.
that right?
The moment somebody calls me, instantly it's pulled out and I start filling out the pre-qualifying script. And then always use the 1 minute listing presentation when I get there every single time. It
Wow.
is such an effective, simple script.
Why
It's not
is
even
that,
funny.
Dave? Yeah, tell
I'm
us why
sorry.
that is. Tell us why that is, that one
Because
minute
what it does is
presentation.
it reconfirms what was said in the pre-qualifying script,
Yeah,
and it tells you in a customized format what you they want you to talk about. Okay.
right?
So when you meet with them, you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is so great to see you. I'm really looking forward to going ahead and getting your home sold and getting you over to Florida and getting this thing done.
Sure.
Three questions I have for you, if you don't mind, before we begin. Sorry. The first question that I have for you is, are you absolutely sure and positive that you are ready to go ahead and sell your home? And side note, if they say, well, no, then obviously you're going to dig and probe as to why no. But if they
Right.
say yes, then you know they're going to list. Now it's a matter of convincing them on you. The
Yes.
second question I have for you is, are you going to be pricing your home at a price that will allow your home to sell? Or are you thinking of putting your home at a price that will allow it to just sit on the market forever and ever? Which
Whoa.
is better for you? Well, no, we're going to list it at a price that will allow our property to sell. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Sometimes they'll say, well, we're not going to give it away. And I said, well,
Yeah.
no, I totally appreciate it. I mean, if you're giving it away, I'll take it. But let me tell you something. My job here is to get you the maximum dollars possible. So giving it away is not an option. We want to see what is the best way to get you the maximum dollars possible. Now, some of you will say, well, does that mean overpricing it? No, because the key word is possible. The
Right.
maximum dollars possible in
Awesome.
this market.
That's a
And I said,
really
well,
good
well, what price do you think it is? They always ask that question next. Well, I'm not sure. I haven't seen your home yet, but we haven't gone over all the comparables and everything. But we'll definitely discuss it. Obviously, it's very important to you. And then the third question that I have for you is, did you want me to handle the sale for you? Then you start nodding your head like this. Now, sometimes they'll say yes, then you'll know you got it.
Right.
Sometimes they'll say, well, I don't know. We're not sure yet. We're going to see what you've got to offer. Oh, no problem. Absolutely. I totally appreciate that. But let me ask you this. I always do a follow-up question right after that. But let me ask you this. What's important to you about the real estate agent that you choose? What things are important that I will have to be able to provide to you to make sure that you go with me? Which things are important to you? And she or he will say, well, we're looking for an agent that does a lot of communication, and we're also
Mhm.
looking for an agent that's going to be able to market our property with a lot of social media. And then instantly you should have this face on. Oh, great. What are you indirectly telling them? That's what I do, brother.
That's what I do.
Exactly.
Yes.
So then what you do is you make your listing presentation specifically geared towards the things that they said that are important to them. Now, what if they said, well, what's important to me? I want to make sure I get an agent that's not going to charge me a high commission. Oh, no problem. I can totally appreciate that, Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Seller. So what I hear you telling me is you're looking for an agent that's going to be able to get you the most money possible in your pocket. Is that correct? Well,
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
Great. Excellent. No problem. We'll be able to help you out with that. Well, what's your commission, Dave? Well, I'm not sure. We're going to go over everything, and I'll make sure we have a commission in there that's going to be able to net you the most money possible. Is that okay with you? Well, yes, it is. Great. You notice all these greats and approvals and repeats, but I'll do
Yes.
everything but answer the question.
Right.
Because once you answer the question, your history, you're done.
You're
That
done.
appointment's over. Just like when you're pre-qualifying and they ask you on the pre-qualifying script, what is your commission? How long is the listing for? Or what is my house worth? These are 3 no, no, and no's. You never, ever, ever, ever discuss those on a pre-qualifying, because the moment you discuss them, they're going to cancel you out. So if you tell
Yes.
my commission, hypothetically, let's use a hypothetical 6%.
Right.
The only reason they ask that is because they're looking for a discount. So if they're looking for 4, 5, 3, whatever the heck it is, or
Yeah.
some of the whatever, all kinds of numbers, then they're going to cancel you out if you give them a commission of 6, 7, or whatever it happens to be. So
True.
it is really a good idea not to go over that. So if it's on a pre-qual, he said,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Renee. That'll be one of the first questions we'll address as soon as I come out and take a look at your home. Would that be okay?
That would be fine. Sure,
Sounds
Dave.
great. I'll see you then.
Perfect. Good. So did everyone pick that up? Wow, this is a clinic. We got a lot. Dave,
I'm sorry,
Q&A.
I talk fast, by the way, because I get I'm very passionate about my business.
Yeah.
If you knew the real me, I talk real slow. I'm a real calm guy, but I'm
Yes.
very passionate about our business and the opportunities all of our realtors have in this business, that I think a lot of them are blinded to what opportunity they have. And I gave you the
Oh,
example of how much are you paid per hour on a sale, on a $300,000 sale. That should
yeah.
excite everybody. I'll tell you what, it
That
excites me.
should That sure is. I see it.
Yeah.
We are all learning from you. It's so true. Your brother Al is here as well, and Mr. B. So some Q&A, Dave. This is great. You know, you mentioned your energy. So Mr. B is a top producer in Montreal, Canada. I happen to
Great.
coach him. Yeah, he's in Montreal. And he has high energy like you. It's actually, you two are very similar. So his question is, like, you're in the same energy zone, you're giving off, you get excited, but do you ever take it down? Do you, with your clients, or how do you do it? How do you monitor the energy level? Because for a high analytical, maybe they're scared of all the energy.
Sure, sure. No, that's an excellent question. And
Yeah.
being in Montreal, bonjour, right?
Bonjour. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Al's in master
So
from
I
Montreal.
used
So
to,
Mr.
by the way,
B's
I
your
used to
friend.
speak French a long time ago, but I've forgotten 99% of it.
Don't
Is
get
it?
them. Don't get them speaking French, please, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you meet with a client, I instantly do it. Just this morning, I had one of my fellow agents say to me, "Why are you speaking with the Oriental accent? You know, they're gonna know you're doing that." I instantly match and mirror. Instantly, the moment I'm with a customer, I instantly match and mirror their speed of speech, their accent, if there is one, their speech volume. So as you know, some people talk loud. Like I'm sure you've met people who say, "Hey, how are you?" You
Yeah.
know, that's a louder person. So I'll automatically match that loudness. Or if they talk very low, I'll instantly slow it down, and I'll say, one of the things that we need to do, Renee, in order to be able to get your property sold, and then I'll have sometimes my son with me on a listing appointment. It'll weird him out because he knows that's not who I am and how I talk. But
Yes.
instant matching, instantly on the phone or in person, I instantly switch to matching their personality style, body language, body movements, crossing their arms. If they cross their arms, you can't cross your arms because it look weird, but you can do something that looks
Yes.
close to crossing your arms just so they can feel more comfortable.
That's
I
huge.
instantly
So
do that.
did you all see how Dave just gave us a live example of mirror match? His energy, everything came down. He can instantly mirror and match what the other client or that prospect is doing so that they feel comfortable. And I like that we all caught that Dave talked about. He loves to give back. It's kind of his overarching purpose. He's a
Absolutely.
give back guy. I asked him once to do this. He said yes right away. That's giving back for somebody like Dave. So any other questions for Dave? We've got Dave, this was great. Thank you. This is
Thank you.
really great. This I had a question for you, Dave. So you've got a lot of going on, you've got a lot of business, you've got family, you've got grandkids. How do you manage? You've got a big family, your brother, your son is on this call. How do you manage the balance between family and work life, that type of balance, and also distractions? Because, you could have experienced a lot of distractions, and family is important. So two
Sure.
kind of
So
questions.
everything I've learned from the Mike Ferry system and Matthew Ferry. I was coached by Matthew Ferry for about a year and a half,
Wow.
and took his NLP program, which is an absolutely
Yep.
phenomenal program that the
I'd
Mike Ferry
taken that too.
organization offers.
Yes.
And a lot of it is, as I mentioned earlier, I used to think that the wheel was just one spoke, and all it had on it was make money / be successful. Until I learned from the Mike Ferry system, the 5 equities of life, which is having much more balance in your life. And I have a much more balanced life than I've ever had in my lifetime, while still creating great success. And
Right.
the 5 areas of equity is physical, financial, not in that order: physical, financial, spiritual, family, and education. And I keep that as balanced as I could. Even this thing right now,
Yeah.
helping out other fellow agents. I myself am getting educated because you form a form of accountability by teaching it to others,
Right.
and you by repeating it to yourself over and over and over again. What you do makes you much more aligned with doing it that way on a regular basis.
Yes.
But like
Powerful.
I
So,
get off now like around 5:45, 6 o'clock, 5 days a week.
okay.
And I get to see my parents, I get to see my grandkids, I get to see my kids, I can see my wife when I can finally convince her to sit with me. But
Yeah.
you know, it's a much more balanced life.
Yeah.
I take time off, I see my friends, I go have dinner with my friends probably twice a week, take
Yeah.
vacations with friends, take vacations with family.
Yeah.
It's much more balanced life, and it's a blessing.
Good. And you put in the work, that's the thing. You see there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's all this balance, this great lifestyle that you've built for not just yourself, but for your family. Are you
Right.
putting the recommended, Matt from Vancouver asked, are you putting your recommended list price and commission in the pre-listing package?
So this was trained by Mike Ferry. And if you recall, I said I follow Mike Ferry 80-90%.
Yeah,
My personal belief, and again, it's my personal belief, and I could very well be wrong, but my personal belief was I did not do that in a
right.
nutshell. I always felt my strong suit is handling objections and scripts face to face or on the phone. I mean, you give me an Eskimo and I'll convince them to buy an igloo off of me. Trust me, put me in front of them, they're done.
Wow.
Um, but to me, sending it will give to me again. I never. That's one thing me and Mike Ferry never agreed on. I
Yeah,
felt that people could potentially cancel you out without you having the potential to be there face to face to convince them on that commission. I
right.
took, like, for example, commissions of 7%, which was 1% over the norm in this area for
Right.
about 3, 4, 5 years on every
Wow.
listing, and
Hmm.
convinced them every single time because I know how to handle that particular script and I know
In
how to handle the
person.
objection. Yeah.
Right.
So to me, that didn't work for me. It doesn't mean
Right.
it doesn't work. It doesn't mean I'm right. I could be wrong, but just for me,
Yeah.
it didn't. I didn't feel it was the
Well,
right move.
how much? That's great. That's a great. Thanks for answering that. And Robert Clark is asked, how much time did you spend on circle prospecting, or did you only do expireds and FISBOs?
So most of it, I would say, I used to do about an hour, hour and a half on expireds and FISBOs, and then I'll do about another 45 minutes of lead follow up. And every once in a while, I would do somewhat regular basis sphere of influence, and once in a great while, we just listed, just sold. But it was primarily expireds and for sale by owners. It
Okay.
is more challenging now, obviously, on one hand, because a lot of people don't use their house phone numbers; they use cell phone numbers,
Yeah.
and you don't have as much access to that. They have answering machines and they have caller IDs, so that makes it a little bit more problematic. On the other hand, you have something now that you didn't have back then, which is a lot of these apps that can auto dial that you didn't
True.
have back then. So back
True.
then we used to do, the old school. Well, when I started, it was one of these deals,
Geez.
and then
Yeah.
later on it was one of these deals, and then later on I used to do the double dialing, which is you dial 2 numbers and keep going back and
Yeah.
forth to each one until one
Yes.
answers.
Double dialing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I remember that. So Dave, door knocking. Couple of people have asked door knocking? Question mark. Was
Very
that part
effective.
of? Yeah.
Very effective. So what I did
Wow.
is I took the city and I put it into quadrants. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to take all the expireds that I either didn't reach or
Right.
didn't have phone numbers for, and I would put them in different quadrants of the city. So you take the city, you divide it up into, depends on how big it is,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 8, 10 quadrants. Okay. And in those quadrants, I would put those expired leads with whatever information I already had on them or whatever conversation I already had with them before, even though later on, maybe like I may have had another conversation, I wrote it on the lead sheet. And I would just go door knocking on Wednesday nights, Wednesday evenings, and most Saturday, most days, most of the day Saturday. And
Hmm.
how it goes like this: I would just knock on your door, You'd open up the door, and I would just use the same script. Hey,
Mhm.
Renee, Dave Abdallah with Century 201. I'm sure you figured out by now. Probably got a lot of letters in the mail and calls. Hey, your home came up on our computers, and then you just continue
Go into
on.
the expired script. And
And
you, and I,
way more effective because the chance of them rejecting you face to face is drastically slimmer than on the phone where you're nobody. But face to face, it's a little more awkward for them to reject you.
true.
But I've had the door slammed in my face, and I'll just come back
Yeah.
2 weeks later and I'll say, listen, I know you maybe weren't having the best of days that day. I may have shown up for you on a bad time, but I'll stop by to see. I'm sure you figured it out by now, and I just continue right on. See,
Right.
sometimes we don't use the same script because we think they're going to remember us. They don't remember us that well. Our own
No.
spouses don't remember us. So how do we think an
That's
expired is
right.
going to remember us from 2 weeks ago and what we said word for word? If you think they remember word for word what you said 2, 3 weeks ago, you have too much ego. They don't.
They
I know they don't remember, and I would always use the same script, and I
yeah.
would pick it up, a lot. Once I get them face to face, they're done. That listing is
Wow.
mine. They're
I
done.
hope we can call this call with Dave. Once he's in front of them, they're done. Imagine we love that mindset. So Dave, what do you do for mindset? You've got such a strong mindset. We all want that. What do
Well,
you do?
like I said, it's Mike Ferry. I'm not gonna. I am a Type A
Thank you.
personality. I've always been driven. I've always been very positive.
Mhm.
I don't like negativity. As a matter of fact, if somebody's negative, they're cut out of my life. I don't enjoy being around negative people. They just shut me down. So I
Right.
stay away from them. But I would tell you, 90% of it is the confidence in knowing the tools of my trade. I'm gonna give you an example. You contact a guy to come and fix your refrigerator, right? He's been in the business
Yes.
20, 30 years. He's got all the tools. He comes in. You say, I don't know, fridge, it's not working. Renee, don't worry. I got this. I know, but you don't understand. No, I got this. I got this. Why is that? Because he's confident in his tools of the trade and in his experience. And when
Yes.
you're confident, when you got experience and you got the tools of the trade, you're going to be very confident. It's the same
Yes.
thing I provide because I know my script, I know my objection handlers, and I've got the proven track record. When I meet with you, you're going to list at my price or a good selling price, and that listing is mine unless I decide I don't want it. Now, watch this. It may not be true, but I'm feeding my subconscious mind those facts so I could totally believe in that because you fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
You fake it until you make it. So watch this. Let me give you an example. Let's use a hypothetical here. What if I went
Right.
on that listing appointment, like some agents, not on this call, I hope. Yeah, I got a listing appointment with Renee. I don't know, man. This guy was tough on the phone. Plus, I know he owns a big business in this area. And I don't know, this guy, oh my God, this guy's very successful. And this house is more expensive than the rest I've handled. I don't know. Oh my God, these comparables. This guy's not going to like him. I know he's not going to like my price. Oh my God, I know this guy's going to want to reduce commission because this house is 700,000. He's not going to accept my 6%. Oh
Hey.
shoot. Oh, I heard his wife is tough. Oh my God. Oh my God, his wife is not home. How do you think you're going to walk into that appointment? You've lost it before you walk in. You've
Right.
lost that listing appointment before you walked in. I
Mhm.
walk in, I'm telling you, and let me tell you something. You don't think people look at you with confidence, whether you have the confidence or not? They want to see that guy that has his shoulders up and says, "Let's go, bring it on, baby."
Yeah.
And then when they give me an objection, I don't say it or show my face, but inside this back of my brain, it's exactly what I think. When I'm sitting with Renee and his wife, and Renee says, "Listen, dude, it's a great presentation you've just given me, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're not gonna go at 5%, I'm telling you right now, straight up, I'm not listing with you. You have a good day. I appreciate your presentation, but I'm not listing with you." The back of my head says, "Is this all you got? That's your best? That's your strongest objection? Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I can totally appreciate where you're coming from, Renee. And you know what? If I was in your shoes, I'd also be concerned about the commission I pay. I mean, after all, it's a $300,000 property, and you're thinking, why would I want to pay, 18,000 when I could pay 15,000 and I could save myself $3,000? Is that correct? And you
Yeah.
and,
That's what I'm
and you know
thinking.
what, Renee? I appreciate that. It makes total sense from your perspective. Yeah, can I show you how by keeping it at a more competitive commission that can bring more money in your pocket? Do you mind if I show you that?
Sure.
Okay. And then now you handle the objection. By the way, a little
Now you
side
can
note,
handle.
you repeat what they say,
Yeah.
You approve what they say. You approve what they say, then you repeat what they say, then you handle the objection, and then you close. So look
Wow.
at this objection. This
Yeah.
is my favorite objection handler on commissions. That's my absolute favorite one. And role play it with me, Renee.
Sure.
So let me ask you this, Renee. I appreciate where you come from. So I
Yeah.
got a question for you. I told you my commission is 6%, and obviously you're pushing back. You're thinking it's not going to work
Yeah.
for you, and you know I get it from your perspective. I
No,
understand.
sorry. Yeah.
I got a question for you, Renee. What
Sure.
if I said to you? Now remember, this is a $200,000 house. What if I said to you, Renee? Look, I started this company, and our commissions are 25% of the sales price. Would you list your home with me, Renee?
Well, at 25% of the
Of the
sales.
sales price, right?
Wow. No.
Yeah. And I can appreciate where you come from, but let me show you how you probably would list it with me. Because if I charged you 25% commission and was able
Mhm.
to get you maybe 295,000 for your home, I'm using exaggerated numbers here, Renee,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to make a point. Or I got you 325,000 for your home, maybe even 400,000. Would
Right.
you then list your $200,000
Well,
home with me at
yeah, then I
25%?
would do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
obviously, Renee, I don't need to tell you, you recognize it clearly. You're an intelligent man. That it's
Yeah.
not about the commission that you charge, it's more about what you net in your pocket. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what it
So if I
is.
charged you 7 or 8 or 6% and got you 217,000 in your pocket versus what the market tells us it's going to get you maybe 200 or 205 in your pocket, that would not pose a problem for you, would it?
No, if you could do that, Dave.
It's all about what you net, right?
That's it. I just need to get the most out of this house.
Absolutely. So let me show you, and then you just continue on.
Then you
So now
continue
you
on.
take their mind away from the lower commission to what they're going to net. And then you
Right.
show them how, by the aggressive social media marketing and
Hmm.
internet marketing that you do, you are able to consistently net people more money than your average real estate agent. And let me tell you guys something. If you don't believe that walking into the listing appointment, you're in the wrong business. You better believe that you could get them more money than any other agent in the area. I believe it. I hope you do.
Right. Wow. Did you guys pick that up? These are gold points. That's right, Mr. B. Nikki has asked, Nikki, I think Dave has answered the question in the chat is how much time do you spend on the net sheet? Is it important in your experience? Do you include the net sheet? But it sounds like you do a lot of that at the house.
Yeah, I include, so my listing appointments are at the office. So
Okay.
the way I do it is I take a look at it, and then
Uh-huh.
I always show that I've got another appointment right after, what have you. So
Right.
when I'm pre-qualifying, I'm setting them up so the way it works is like this. Okay, Renee, this is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, absolutely, we can help you sell your home. So I'll tell you what, I've got an opening tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be in your neighborhood. I would say I'm going to be in your neighborhood because this implies indirectly that you show houses in the neighborhood, and that's what you want. So I'm
Right.
going to be in your neighborhood, Renee, tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So what I'll do, Renee, is I'll come by, I'll take a look at your home. I'll maybe recommend some things to do to your home in order to be able to get the maximum dollars on your property. And then
Yeah.
I'll prepare the market analysis at the office. And then I'll meet up with you and your wife at our office at 4:15 the same day. Or if you'd like, we could do it at 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Which of the two works better for you?
12 o'clock Wednesday would work. That's my day off.
Great. And we'll meet at and if you gave me objections about meeting at the office,
Sure. Yeah, why would I
keep
come
in
to
mind.
your office?
So
Come
so
to
you
our
always
house.
you always have to talk your initial objection. See, most objection handlers, if you have the right presentation, you don't have to do any objection handlers. Because if you use assumptive language that you're going
Yeah.
to meet at the office, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 don't resist
Hmm.
because they think that's the norm. Because I made it
Right.
like the normal thing. I'll take a look, and then we'll meet up at the office at 2 o'clock or before 4 o'clock. Because right
Right.
when I said I'll meet at the office, I right away ventured into, do you want it at 2 o'clock or do you want it at 4 o'clock or do you prefer at 12 o'clock the next day? Now the conversation has been pattern interrupted. It's been shifted to the time we're going to meet at the office versus will you or will you not meet at the office. It's a shift in
It's a
mindset.
shift.
Yeah. Now, when
Yes
I bring them
versus
to
a
the
yes, no.
office, the fact that they drove here tells you that they're listing with. Well, at least there's a high chance they can list with you,
High
and
chance.
they've been somewhat. I don't want to say impressed, but at least they have no
Yeah.
resistance to listing with you because
Yes.
they met with you and they still came to the office.
This
To me,
is
it's more
that.
effective. Now, if it's a far away listing, then I'll take my paperwork with me and list it right there on the spot.
Wow.
But at the office, you have all your tools of the trade there. It's just you have the computer. I mean, it's just to me, I'm a little old school. It works better
Yeah.
for me.
That's really cool. Last question. So I got Dave for you. Just a mindset question around FISBOs. You've given us a lot to think of, like to help us on the expired. There's some FISBOs, and a lot of people they get really discouraged. The FISBOs put them down. They say mean things to them. There's very few FISBOs. I know you've been great. You've had a lot of success with them. What's a good mindset that you had going into conversations around listing FISBOs?
Sure. Okay, watch this. What is your average price range, Renee, in your area?
$1 million for a
Okay,
detached house.
nice. Okay, $1 million.
Yeah,
That makes your commission $60,000, add or subtract, correct? All right.
correct.
Watch this, Renee. On this call, record it and put it on every social media outlet you want. I don't care. Send me $60,000 and call me every name in the book right now. Reject me, yell at me, do whatever you want.
Tell
$60,000.
them off
That enough. That
$60,000.
should be enough to motivate somebody. Number
Wow.
two,
Right.
like I mentioned, rejection does not bother me because I'm
Right.
all focused on doing what's best for the client. In the same token, taking that listing. I'm very competitive. So when I meet with you, I'm going to take that listing, but I'm not going to talk like I'm talking right now because this
Right.
would scare people. You know, if somebody's
Yeah.
going, I can sell it, blah, 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 it would scare
Yeah.
people. So again, I'm much more effectively matching and mirroring your personality and everything else that you do. By the way, the matching and mirroring,
Yes.
that will ramp up the number of listings that you take minimum 30-40% minimum, because
Right.
it is so much more effective. I use it on my wife, I use it on my kids, I use it on my parents, I use it on everybody. I'm always continuously, if you want to call it practicing it, role playing it, call it whatever you want to call it. I instantly use it when I talk to somebody, matching their personality. It's become a natural habit now, because what
Wow.
happens is, and I'll give you guys a little nugget.
Mhm.
If somebody talks real fast, and let's say somebody says to you, well, I'd like to sell my house in the next month or so and move over to Florida. And you go, oh, absolutely, I can sell your house, because, let me tell you something. The way I sell houses, he's going to think I'm what? A fast talking salesman. He's going to
Yes.
reject. The chances of him listing with me is drastically minimized. Now
Right.
let's reverse it. What happens if somebody talks fast and the realtor says, well, I could list your home. I'll come out tomorrow afternoon if you'd like at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. No, I'm not going to be available. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let me get back with you on that. The person's already
Done.
canceled you out because he
Yeah.
thinks you're not that bright. So
Right.
that's why I'm matching their speed, their accent, their tonality, their body language, their loudness or low voice. A to Z. Match it. Also, by the way, it makes it more fun. I
That's
mean,
true.
I switch so many personalities on listing phone. It's not even funny. It
That
makes
is,
it way more fun, but
it
it's
is a
much,
lot.
much more effective.
Wow. This is
And
great.
another thing from
Yeah.
Matthew Ferry is using a lot of, I gave it to my son to memorize those papers, but using a lot of assumptive language. Assumptive
Yes.
language is so much more effective. So you say to them, like, for example, while you're taking a look at the home, hey, I got a question for you. Did you want me to include the stove and fridge, or is that something that you don't want to include as a part of the listing? If they
Yeah.
say, yes, include them, you're planting in their head that they're going to list with you, but also you're knowing that you have a much higher chance of them listing with you.
True.
It's that presumptive language. It's very effective.
And you know what? That is really good. That attitude of assuming you've got the listing, you've got the business, but the preparation, I hope we've all picked up from Dave, the preparation that he's put in, memorizing, internalizing scripts, burning it into his head so that when he gets there, not only is he mentally prepared, he's physically prepared in every single way. And it just comes off. Dave, thank you so much. Let's give
You're
Dave
very
a
welcome.
virtual. I told him 30
Thank
minutes.
you.
He gave us more than the 30. We
Thank you.
got so lucky today. And that's with no water, no food, just raw energy flowing through Dave today. Thank you so much, Dave. If you'd like to reach out to Dave, he's on social media. You can find him. Add him as a friend, message him, say you're really inspired, and you can fire away your questions. I saw there was some other questions you had. Dave, thank you so much, man.
You're
This
very
was
welcome,
great.
brother. Good luck.
Okay, I really appreciate it. Thanks for
Sounds great.
coming. Everyone, go make some work, go make something happen. Use something that you heard today from Dave, implement it in your business. Take something that you learned from him, write it down, send it to your coach. If you don't have a coach, ding, 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 Mike Ferry coaching. Dave mentioned it like 400 times.
Hey,
Reach out.
I counted it. I spent $478,000 on coaching. Don't feel sorry for me. Think about
Don't
that.
feel sorry. And how much did you make off your $478,000 investment, Dave?
Exactly. It was for free because I made way more than that spending that kind of money. I'm telling you right now, every person should join a coaching program, not even negotiable. It's the best money I ever spent.
Wow, that's fantastic. You know what? That is really, really great because look what it did for you, for your business, for your family, for the grandkids, for everybody. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Dave.
You're welcome.
Yes. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.